Hello, this is PubShorts, episode 20. Time is
Here
running
we
out. Hi, Tony. My name is Dr. KK. I'm the innovation officer at Trinka and at Inago. And I have with me Tony. It is the song reference for this episode is purely because Tony is interested in a particular band. Hi, Tony.
Hi, thank you for using a Muse reference in the title for the song. You can never go wrong with a Muse reference. They're a great band
Right.
and a great English band, I should say.
Yes. They're a wonderful band. I've been inspired both from a bass point of view as well as a music point of view
Yeah,
because of
he's
the
a fantastic bassist, Chris. Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Okay, so Pop Shots is a weekly, maybe bi-weekly, is that right? Bi-weekly, multi-weekly.
I've lost track. It's a regular podcast.
Yeah, it's a regular podcast covering all new developments from the field of academia, publishing, AI technology, natural language processing, anyway, machine learning, all lots of things. And Tony, if they want to find more about us or you, where can they find us?
Yeah, so I'm Tony O'Rourke. I'm vice president here at Inago for partnerships, strategic partnerships. You can find out about Inago at inago.com. You can find out about where you can find all the podcasts that we've done so far for PubShorts. If you do a search for Inago PubShorts on YouTube, you'll find a whole list of the 20 recordings that we've done so far, including this one. And you can find out about our AI, the work we're doing in AI over at trinker.ai.
Excellent. So, Tony, do you know why we have named the episode Time is Running Out?
Because time is running out this year. There's
This
only there's only 10 days left.
That's one reason, but time is also running out on technology solutions providers to figure out solutions for research integrity issues, because we are talking about a lot of research integrity related themes in this episode. So
Yeah.
I'll start with, but we are not starting with that. We are starting with heavy machine learning, computer science papers
Oh
on
yeah,
peer review. So
my
let's
wheel.
yeah, very easy stuff, Tony. So I'm sure that you already understood everything. So we are first talking about the archive preprint published in early November. It is titled Probabilistic Consensus Through Ensemble Validation, a framework for LLM reliability. So very easy to.
I'm going to ask, okay, for the sake of our viewers here,
Right.
do you want to just explain what it is?
Okay, so machine learning, sorry, AI classically, or any AI innovation in the past is based on rules, and so it gives you very accurate response. I mean, outputs and outcomes, right? But over the last maybe 2 years or 3 years, large language models have been employed, and they are probabilistic, and hence the accuracy of the output is always in question. So this paper talks about how we can fix it using a technique where multiple large language models evaluate using the probabilistic techniques, and they arrive at a consensus. Sounds like something that we might be doing, like
No,
Tony.
absolutely. And this is something for our own AIs we're actually exploring now in terms of how we can improve the reliability and the accuracy
Yes.
of our models.
So the abstract itself says the most important thing. They tested the singular researcher tested in 78 complex cases, and this framework showed an improved precision from 73% approximately to about 94%. And this is significant because everybody wants accuracy, while
Yeah,
any sort of AI implementation is done, especially in the field of peer review.
yeah.
And the one cool thing about this, which is you can find out about in the paper, and they have explained it. I think the first, yeah. So this is an example of a question that they can pose to one single LLM, and the best in class LLMs, let's say Claude, Sonnet, and ChatGPT 4o, etc., would give you approximately 75% accuracy for such a complex question. This requires human oversight. So when you put multiple LLMs to arrive at the answers in different in their own methods, and if you eventually look for consensus, this accuracy becomes much higher. So I was very excited by this because we are working on something similar. And Tony, this I think I want to ask you: are we finally at that place in the evolution of technology for peer review where things are finally sort of falling into place, and we will see something big happen in the next year?
The big question. I don't think there's ever going to be a single point in time where we'll fall in. I think what we're going to, this is going to be an iterative, a continuous process where these AIs will constantly improve and and be more reliable, be more precise. But important, and I'm keep on saying this, importance of human oversight cannot be understated.
Right, right. So the next paper is also an archive preprint. It is again a very simple title: Streamlining the Review Process, AI Generated
Yeah,
Annotation Research Manuscripts. So this I have to now sort of take a slight detour, and we are talking about the implementation of a Chrome plugin which uses OpenAI and OpenAI's large language models to annotate a document, and that is called Annotate GPT. And you can find more about it. Anybody is interested, you can find more about it on the GitHub stub. This is it. But more importantly, this there are some very useful screenshots, so you can configure your OpenAI model, and you can actually have your own review model, which is I'm very fascinated by, because Tony, you would probably agree that there is no one way to review uh, all the papers, because there are different types of paper, different subject areas. So
yeah.
this plugin, I guess, is offering different types of reviews, and you can sort of use a model of your choosing, and you can keep on tweaking it. So far, how does it how does this look to you, Tony?
Well, I think that what I like about this is that it reaffirms for me that 2025 is going to be the year of peer review as far as I'm concerned in AI. I've seen so much discussion and development of new services, new products over the last even in the last 6 months.
Right.
That I really think it's going to explode in a positive way in 2025. I mean, KK, as you know, a little ad break here.
Mm-hmm.
We're actually developing our own tools to support says AI-based tools. In fact, we won an award earlier this year for innovation at a leading editorial conference for that particular product idea.
Right, right. And this is all, I mean, in the last two, this preprint and the previous one, we are working on something similar. And this is our goal as well, to give AI based insight for the human reviewer, so that they can do their jobs better, faster. So that
Yeah,
the
and you know what? And the more people that look at this, the better it's going to be.
Right, right. So I'm now moving on to the abstract of the paper. So this is, we are back to the original screen. So basically this is obviously a preprint. So keep that in mind. And they put an annotate GPT, which is, unfortunately, Tony, do you use Chrome as your default
I
browser?
do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do.
So maybe you can use it, because I generally use Firefox, which is considered to be a more safe browser, and it generally takes less memory, at least in my systems. Anyway, so I have to now switch to Chrome to explore this. But reviewers were given annotate GPT, right, to do this, and the plugin helps annotate manuscripts evaluating some key areas. So that is, again, depending on the model, including the contribution, the originality, the relevance, the rigor, the solution description, and the state of the art nature of the paper, with the classical peer review checkpoints. And the cool part is that reviewers can get flexibility, so they can tweak it, and they can sort of iteratively improve their own workflow so that it fits their workflow. Now, my question is, would would a plugin solve it, or do you want a more sort of a secure solution from a publisher point of view
I
primarily?
don't think there's one solution that fits all. I think having a variety of solutions available, whether it's a plugin, whether it's a standalone tool, whether it's part of an integrated service. I think the important thing here is that there's work being done by some very, very bright people to improve the peer review process, and anything that takes some of the workload away from the reviewer to allow them more time to review, actually physically review the content, and to take more reviews, it's got to be seen as a good thing. So no, I welcome this.
Okay, so I'm going to finally the screenshots, or the screenshot that they have put in the paper itself. So this is how the annotations will look like. So there'll be sort of alphabetical. I think these are guides to the section or the type of question, but also the strength in terms of how strong. I think there is something here. So these are the sort of, I think. What is it, characteristics that the AI checks for, but there is also major weakness, minor weakness, and strength, etc. So these come but through the AI itself, and the human is expected to oversee this and then add their own comment. I mean, this is my. I mean, I would love to have more solutions like this where the human is always in the center and
Yeah.
is assisted by the best AI technology.
Absolutely. But the important thing to bear in mind is that humans like to work in different ways. So what
Mm,
works for us, what works for you, or work for me, may not be the same as for another reviewer.
yes.
So giving them the option, giving them the choice, I think is great.
Right. So again, a lot of reading to be done. So please, if somebody is watching this, the links will be provided at least in the YouTube description. Please
Yeah.
check these things out yourself and
And
explore.
absolutely, yeah, and if you're interested in sort of how AI can be used in peer review, you know, feel free to contact either KK or me, or in fact, or read this article.
Yes.
It's an interesting look at the latest in the technology.
All right. So Tony, I'm moving on to the next main story we have. It is a article, open knowledge article published, and it is titled "A Paper Mill Target Reflects." A person who has been targeted by paper mill reflects. So this basically paper mills, as in for anybody who is not familiar with the term, they produce fake research, eroding trust in science, and trust is a
Yeah.
is a major thing that we need in science.
Can I just say trust is the major thing in science. In order in this whole process, if there's no trust, if there's no trust in the community, then it erodes the effectiveness of the communication.
So this article shares, as in the perspectives of somebody from IOP Publishing, who are leaders in all sorts of research integrity related themes, and this Miriam Mouse is a person who's sharing the insights.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I was surprised by is that IOP Publishing is heavily affected, especially in conferences. So the predatory nature of the conferences and the fake paper mill submitting papers to conferences are a challenge. And this article clearly highlights the double-edged sword nature of AI. It can be good and bad depending on who's using it.
Just to make it clear, IOP in 2023 voluntarily removed a large number of papers from its conference programs, which they considered to have certain fraudulent or integrity, and they took a proactive approach, which they should be congratulated for.
I completely agree. And the main theme, the main call to action would be that the academic community needs to do more to combat paper
Yeah,
mills, and
yeah.
initiatives such as COPE and United to Act promote cooperation among stakeholders. So, Tony, as an organization, how are we supporting the fight against paper mills across maybe journals and conferences and whatnot?
Yeah, well, we work with publishers, we work with universities, work with research organizations, as well as with individual researchers, and we're constantly providing services and tools that will support them. One of the things we did recently was to enter into an agreement with a company called Clear Skies Technology, who are one of the leading providers of tools analytics to combat the use of paper mills.
Hmm.
So we'll be offering that as a service both to our institutional customers and to publishers in 2025.
Yeah, and if you're interested in knowing more about the partnership that Inago has, please visit our website inago.com, and
Yeah.
under the section news, all of these things are detailed, and obviously you can follow things like PubShorts and other
Okay.
content streams that we have.
Yeah.
Right. Moving on to the next article, which is titled Bridging Tradition and Technology, Expert Insights on the Future of Innovation in Peer Review. This is a CSC Science Editor blog article, and it primarily, Tony, covers a series of webinars hosted by the Asian Council of Science Editors, and which featured interviews with industry experts about technology in peer review. So, have you had a chance to watch any of these webinars, Tony?
I haven't, I'm afraid. No. Have
Right.
you?
No, I haven't. But what struck me was this. I hope I can increase the. Okay, wait. This is all I can do in terms of zooming in. But these are the sort of 6 things that the experts were talking about in terms of improving peer review and technology, that combination. So, first of all, automating things and using machine learning where it can be doing, then open peer review, and then AI driven peer review. We have talked about it, and virtual peer review platforms. And finally, the most important thing, the human AI collaboration.
Yeah.
So this is wonderful. And from I mean, you just said it. You at the end of the second last segment that we talked about, that 2025 is a year of peer review. But among these 6 things, do you have anything that sort of you are more excited about?
Um, yeah, I'm really excited to see how the AI-driven peer review services is going to develop. I think that's something I said it's going to be a very important thing for 2025 and beyond. So anything that's going to help any tools that we or others can develop that will help the reviewer in terms of how long it takes them to create to perform the process. I'm really excited to see how that evolves.
Right. And moving on to an interesting article from the JAMA journal. I forget what is the expansion. American Medical Association, right?
The
Journal.
JAMA is the Journal of the American Medical Association. It's,
Right. Right.
it's their overarching brand for their journals program. Or
Right.
yeah,
So it is a research letter titled "The Use of Artificial Intelligence in Peer Review Among Top 100 Medical Journals." So I'm
yeah,
going to quickly read out what my notes say. So 78% of the journals in this study provide AI guidance, 59% prohibit AI, and 32% allow it with conditions.
yeah.
So what does these numbers? I mean, what do you find in these numbers?
Uh, well, I first of all, I asked myself what AI guidance means, and I think what AI guidance means is like is not necessarily this is how you should use AI, but more this is our policy on the use of AI when
Right.
you're submitting a paper to one of our journals. And I'm surprised it wasn't 100% of journals providing that kind of guidance, but it's still a high proportion. I think I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead here, but one of the things that interested me in this particular paper, in this article, was kind of the different positions that the leading publishers are taking. We have Springer and Wiley on one side of taking one approach, and Elsevier and others taking another. There's I think one of the things we're going to see in 2025 is increasing sort of consistency
Right.
and coming together of those kind of attitudes and policies.
Right. I think, the different stances are because, things are evolving at a very fast pace in the AI landscape. And still, we are not. I mean, I myself, I think I'm a very AI forward person, but I'm still concerned about the accuracy and concerns like the confidentiality aspects of, sharing content, and
Yeah,
also bias within AI, right? So that
yeah,
these are the reasons why some of the publishers have different or contradictory guidelines, I think. But the main thing that, again, in this paper also they are talking about the human oversight and the role of AI plus human until AI matures enough. So, Tony, do you agree that based on increased volumes of submissions in general, like I think this is more in the field of, let's say, biosciences and medicine,
fine.
should should biomedical journals adopt AI faster? I mean, with maybe some amount of risk involved. I mean, because
No,
okay, so
no, no, I don't know. I don't. I think we adopt they should adopt the technology once it's proven to actively support the process, and if there's any elements of risk involved, then they have to demonstrate caution. I think there's a huge amount of benefit, and there's a huge amount of really good tools that can be used and services that are available, but still with caution.
yes, and so the way that I would look at it is that because there is a huge volume issue in terms of you have to manage the volumes for these journals, maybe AI assistance can be
Yeah,
with human oversight can be
in
implemented
in
faster.
certain things, yeah,
Yes,
I agree.
yes. All right, moving on to the, I think, three research integrity related items. The first one is from Retraction Watch. It is an exclusive. New hijacking scam targets Elsevier, Springer Nature, and other major publishers. So this is obviously the Retraction Watch news story. The scammers in this article, they featured in this article, clone journals, websites, and publish fake papers, and they mimic the look of legitimate journals.
Mhm.
Websites. So that is a concern. And there are fake domains, Tony, like science directs, the plural, .com instead of science direct, the singular.com, and DOIs that start with 10.70706. These are some characteristics, and things not matching with the original publishers, etc. Crossref has already launched an investigation, and investigating these DOIs, and publishers are also taking legal steps to against these.
And rightly so too.
Right.
The heavier those legal steps, the better.
Right, Tony. So a researcher, especially an early career researchers, may not know about the web of potential issues. So
Yeah.
how can we help? As in, you can think of we as a community of academic scholarly publishing, or as our company Nago Charlesworth. How can we help researchers in preventing, being victims to such scams?
Yeah, these scams, these sort of fraudulent sites are becoming increasingly difficult to identify. I think particularly for a new researcher, if you're submitting a paper for the first time, seek guidance from a colleague. Talk directly to the journal itself. Go to the journal website, the actual journal website. Go to visit them, speak to the publisher or one of the journal managers, just to clarify the process and just make sure you're not supporting any of these fraudulent journals. And also, because if they come to us, we have a journal submission service, so we can help them in the submission to the correct journal if they really want to have an additional layer of protection.
Right. To add to what Tony said, generally when I do author workshops, it is very easy to identify a fake journal because of the way the website is, and
Yeah.
the images that they use, the fonts they use, etc. But things are becoming increasingly complex, so one has to be more diligent and even inspect the URLs and DOIs. That's
I
what
was
this
going to say URL more than anything else.
Yes.
Um,
All right. So a related story: Crossref suspends company's membership after a retraction watch report. So Crossref, obviously, it is one of the leaders in metadata and research integrity. Retraction Watch revealed that there are activities leading to suspension of this Springer Global publications, which use Crossref to assign DOIs to questionable journals. Their site is now offline, and they denied creating or managing journal content. Now, when asked Crossref, I think Crossref cited misrepresentation in their application as the reason for suspension. The board is about to review the decision in an upcoming meeting, and Retraction Watch is supported by Crossref, etc. So, Tony, in what ways, you have already explained some of this, in what ways like companies like ours can support researchers against things like journal hijacking? If there are more points that you can share, please share.
I don't think there's anything else I can add. Check the URL, talk to the publisher, talk to the journal itself, talk to colleagues. Find out if you can contact a board member, and just make sure that where you're submitting is the legitimate journal.
Right, Tony, we have talked about peer review, paper mills, and research integrity. The final sort of main story covers everything. This is another article from Retraction Watch titled Wiley Medical Journal retracts dozens of papers for manipulated peer review, with more to come. So that doesn't sound good. And so it highlights an issue with a journal. The journal retracted 27 papers due to manipulated peer reviews, and more obviously are expected. The issue was first noticed by a third party who saw format similarities in articles, and we've talked about it, Tony, as in reviewers generally use a template, right? And that's what structured peer review is supposed to be. Wiley is actively working to address this paper mill activities in submissions, and the journal.
All publishers are, not just Wiley. All major publishers serious about maintaining the ethical integrity and the trust in their journals are doing this.
Right, and the journal is expanding its editions due to high submission volumes. This particular journal,
Well, that's unusual. That's
right.
not unusual.
So again, Tony, another question: as in, assume that you are working for a journal. What should, or a publisher, what measures should your journals take to avoid fake peer reviews?
Well, one of the things when I read this particular piece that made me think is that they ask authors to recommend reviewers. I mean, I kind of understand the reason for that, in terms of increasing difficulty in getting reviewers for certain papers, for certain types of papers, particularly for new journals, for example. Maybe one thing that journals shouldn't be doing is asking that question, using their own resources, using trusted third-party resources, rather than asking the author. I mean, 99.9% of those authors are going to be completely legitimate and honest and open and give fair and honest answers, which is great. But unfortunately, that 0.1% or whatever the figure is going to spoil it for everybody else. So maybe not ask that question and use their own resources, trusted third parties, to try and build up their pool of reviewers.
Right. So, Tony, I zoomed in to show the plugin that is working, the Get Full Text Research plugin, which guides users. I have installed it on my Firefox. So this is a very useful thing if suppose you haven't used it. I feel that Annotate GPT should also be there on other browsers like Firefox and Safari. Right. So we have now finished our main articles. The quick hits remain. There are 3 quick hits. I'll start with a Nature article, and this is primarily related to the European Union. It is titled, it's a news article from Nature. A science mega program is taking shape in the EU, and what it means for researchers. So I was not aware of such programs. So this is, I think this information comes from the new EU Research Commissioner. I hope I'm not mispronouncing, Ekaterina Zaharieva, who is in charge, and Thank you. The focus is on innovation and collaboration. And so, Tony, I mean, it's obviously a new program, but I was not aware that there was an existing program, and I just
Um,
want you to.
I think we're in the middle of the ninth program, if I remember rightly. So the European Commission sees science and technology as one of the leading drivers of growth, and will invest in programs, and will encourage investment in certain scientific areas. And and they've also been very open in terms of how they feel that the science should be communicated. So this is an extension, I feel like a larger version of what they've done in the past in terms of their outreach. One of the interesting things here, I think, if I read it rightly, was that they're encouraging dual use of research as well, so looking at different areas where that research can be used. Um, but sadly, the UK left the European Union. I'm sorry, I'm giving my political views here. Some years ago, so we're not quite as active. We are still involved in these programs, of course. We have some of the world's best research, as actively involved in the EU research programs as we have in the past.
Right. Okay. So I'm moving on to the second last news article. This is a science article, and I had to use my, what is it? Text. What is it? What it's called? Toggle reader view, because science was telling me that I'm running out of my free articles for this month. But anyway, this is an article written by the deputy news editor. So a scientist named Tony was used for fake peer reviews, and Elsevier has retracted many papers due to this fraud. And
Yeah.
the fake reviews undermine, obviously, the peer review process. And the person who is implicated says that they did not. I mean, they say that they did not write these fake peer reviews. So it seems like an identity sort of a scam,
Yeah,
and
it's identity theft.
yeah, and he claims hacking as a reason. So how can, again, a question, how can researchers, especially early career researchers, prevent their identities being abused or scammed, or whatever?
Well,
So
it's like in the everyday world, in the consumer world, we all have to protect our identities, and researchers are no different. They have to make sure that they can do whatever they can do with their ORCIDs and their various IDs, change passwords on a regular basis, just to ensure that their identities aren't being stolen.
yes, and whenever you're sharing information on the web, especially your research-related content, make sure that you have a secure sort of, you're sending it to the right person, and you can
Yeah,
trust that person. That's
yeah,
an important thing. We are work.
absolutely.
Yeah, so as a company, we are very interested in working on security, data security related technologies, and we are working on a technology which I hope that we'll release soon, which ensures that your data will not go to any place else, and we have absolute control over who gets to see that data. But we'll talk about that soon, Tony. And I'm moving on to the last one. This is a very interesting article, because it is. I wanted this to be the last because of the some of the tools that are talked about. It is a career column article. This is based on some of the tips for researchers who are generally using PDFs and for literature review, etc. So it's titled "Banish the PDF hunting blues with these AI and digital tools." Unfortunately, Tony, Trinka doesn't get a mention. Trinka or Inagori doesn't get a mention, but I'm hoping that,
Not yet.
yeah, it'll come up soon. So the thing that the four things that they're talking about, and actually there is a workflow. So the workflow has an acronym ACCU, which stands for acquisition, collection, crystallization, and utilization. In the sense, acquire data, collect the data. I guess those are similar, but crystallize the data and then utilize it. So the author recommends Google Scholar for quick searches, Zotero as a reference manager, and
Yeah.
Heptabase and Notebook LM for
Oh,
discussing.
there are lots of different reference manager tools out there, and researchers will be fully aware of them. Their institutions will make certain tools available. Mendeley is very common.
Right.
EndNote is quite common. There's something called PaperPilot, if I remember rightly, which works. RefWorks. There's a whole host of different tools available.
Yeah, so this is the reason why people prefer Zotero, and I have a question after as a follow up to this. I think it integrates with a lot of different tools, and we just mentioned Heptabase as a note taking platform. Tony, I use Obsidian and Notion, so I want to ask you. I've been asking researchers whenever I get a chance to do that. Many people have moved on from Microsoft Word. So in your meetings with researchers and publishers, journals, are there more tools now being discussed like this Heptabase, Notion, Obsidian?
Um, I think publishers, the role of the publisher is evolving, is changing. It used to be, produce the printed volume and that sits on the shelf for hopefully the reader to read the curated article. Now it's around the publishing process and supporting the author, as well as ultimately publishing, but there's certainly some places where that can be available. So it doesn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if publishers, support all of these tools, because they don't really know how their authors and what tools their authors are going. The ones I mentioned are some of the biggest ones, but there are many, many more out there. So no, publishing is an increasingly technology-led business.
Right. So, Tony, that brings us to the end of the episode. Episode 20. Time is running out of PubShorts. Tony, if somebody is interested in knowing more about the stuff that we talked about what offerings that we have as a company, and maybe what work you do, how can they do it?
Well, as I said at the beginning of this call, they can contact me at tonyo@inago.com. They can check the inago.com website. If you're interested in our AI services, go to trinker.ai or look for KK and me on LinkedIn, Tony O'Rourke.
Yes. Yes. To add to it, we are streaming currently on LinkedIn and YouTube. But if you're watching it at a view on demand on YouTube, on our Inago channel, please subscribe to the channel and hit the bell notification icon. And if you like the content, especially the researcher related, the advice that Tony and I offered for early career researchers to not maybe get affected by some of these scams, maybe share it with your friends and.
Yeah, and as I said, and if you've got any ideas for topics or articles that you found are interesting, you'd like us to flag, then please drop a line to either KK or me.
And talking about specific, themed episodes, we have a couple of themed episodes coming up. We will figure out how to logistically get Tony back from his vacation.
Oh yeah, we worked out stuff over Christmas.
But Tony, I cannot obviously end a PubShorts episode without asking you about your latest musical, experience. Are you listening to something?
I'm very excited. This evening, I'm going to see an English musician called Rick Wakeman, who is a keyboard. He's a brilliant piano player, keyboard, and he's doing his Christmas show in Bath, which is not too far from where I live here in Bristol, in the UK.
All right. Look forward to talking to you about it whenever we meet next. I think we are meeting soon. But until the next episode, this is Dr. KK signing off on behalf of everybody who helps us bring such content. And on behalf of Tony, this is the end of PubShorts episode 20. Time is running out. We will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye, Tony.